Hi, and welcome to the Revive, Thrive, and Optimize podcast. I'm Billy Weiss, compounding pharmacist and health and wellness expert, and we're glad you're here. As always, producer Mike's behind the scenes, and across from me, my co-host Janet. Hey, Janet.
Good morning, Billy. Good morning, Mike. I'm trying to remember what we were supposed to talk about today. Okay, wait, no, I got it. Today I want to talk about memory, brain health, brain fog. I know it starts happening to a lot of women going through perimenopause and menopause. I think from low T, testosterone. For me, I feel like if I don't have coffee in the morning, my brain doesn't turn on. So what are some of the things we can do to help our brain health and also to combat things like dementia for later on in life?
Yeah, great question, Janet. And really, when you think about it, I mean, the Alzheimer's rates are climbing, right? And it's starting, we're seeing it in younger, I should say, ages. So it is important because no matter how physically healthy we are, if we can't remember our family or remember who we are, it kind of loses the reason for being physically healthy.
Is it happening just to a lot more people these days, or am I just noticing that because I'm getting older?
No, the rates are climbing for sure. And part of that, Janet, is this metabolic disease that we are suffering from as a country.
The insulin resistance, the type 2 diabetes.
Yeah,
they even call dementia now type 3 diabetes.
Yeah, I've been calling, the brain issues, Alzheimer's, type 3 diabetes, probably 25 years. We've been talking about it being insulin resistance in the brain.
Right.
So it goes back to let's live a lifestyle that is insulin controlled, that gets plenty of oxygen and water, hydration to the brain, and we get plenty of nutrients to the brain. Mm-hmm. And so if we can think about simple things that can really help the brain function more efficiently long term, one of the things you'll notice that is super easy is to use the brain, right? So
you mean like crossword puzzles?
What's the game? Sudoku. However you say it. Sudoku. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I don't do it, but I know that
there's apps on your phone, things like that, where you're
being able to do those things. One of the things
pickleball is supposed to be good for your brain.
Anything that is the terminology is leaving me, but where you have to go across your body, like ping pong, pickleball, tennis. Even things that you would have people do in Pilates and yoga.
I used to teach a class called Brain Gym.
Yeah,
where you're movements, just like you're describing.
Where you're just using your body, you're maintaining your ability to balance, walking backwards for short distances, running backwards, getting out and seeing the sun and seeing the trees and the wind and the birds and the cars go by. I mean, all those things stimulate the brain. But if some of these folks, unfortunately, are sitting inside
in front of
with
a screen
no sunshine, in front of a blue light screen all day, and they don't really stimulate their brain to have to be used to think.
And when you're not moving a lot, you're not getting that extra oxygen to your brain either.
And that's the other thing. We have to make sure that the brain requires a lot of water. Okay, so it needs to be well hydrated, and it needs a lot of oxygen. So the brain is a very small part of our body weight, but it requires a massive amount of the body's energy. And that is because it is the computer, so-called, that's running everything,
and
right?
the glymphatic system.
Absolutely. So we need to make sure that we nourish the brain with
good
exercise, with good food and nutrients, with water, with oxygen. I mean, if we can do that, we can greatly reduce our risk. And, I think about when I think about the folks that are up in age, especially like at church, we've got some, especially I can think of 2 or 3 men right now that are in their 80s, middle 80s, and they're sharp as a tack.
My mom, 86.
Your mom is another one. Yes, absolutely. Beth's mom is 79, and you wouldn't guess it in a million years.
And mom contributes that to all the exercise. She's always exercised.
Always exercise, and you'll notice with these people, probably working some type of job, even though they don't have to because they wanted to. They wanted to be useful. They wanted to be productive.
Volunteering, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I find a pattern of these people that get out and walk every day, exercise every day, read, maybe do the crossword, whatever.
Community involvement.
In other words, they're not sitting around doing nothing. They're not sitting around just watching TV. And I find that pattern of these people that still are sharp. I mean, they really have great recall, even for what we'll call a more advanced age. And then I see other people who retired and nothing wrong with retirement. I don't mean that, but at 55 or 60, and they just did absolutely nothing. They just kind of sat in a chair and watched TV, and then they just start to lose not only their muscle tone and all, but they start to lose their brain's ability.
And then suddenly they have type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. So using the brain is number one, I think, for sure. And there's plenty of research that shows getting out in the sun. There's plenty of research that shows crossword puzzles, ping pong, pickleball, any of those kind of activities that cause us to cross across the body, have to think a little bit, have to create the reaction time, those kind of things, the balance. All those things are really important for keeping the brain fit. I mean, it's no different than keeping our arms or our legs or our abs fit. You have to use them.
And I think of almost the opposite. For me, doing yoga is giving my brain a rest. Does that make sense? And it's from the chatter. It's
giving your body a rest, from the noise.
From the noise
I think
inside my head.
Causing your body to have to concentrate on other things.
Right. And this is a different take on it because I feel like my mind chatter can stop.
Absolutely.
And that helps my stress level.
Absolutely.
And it helps me sleep. So sleep's another important thing for your brain.
Sleep is very important because you talked about the glymphatic system. So actually, when we sleep and we sleep quality, 6 hours or more, right? We talk about that 6 hours or more, which is why we're so big on the OptiU magnesium.
Right.
We want to get that quality of sleep. The glymphatic system actually shrinks in our brain. I think they say up to 60%.
Oh, that's a lot.
And the autophagy, right? Yeah. The body comes in and starts to clean up the bad, the rogue, the dead, the dying, the going rogue cells. And so we actually make all our memory when we sleep, not when we learn it. We learn it when we're awake, right? We learn how to do multiplication or read or whatever, phonics, whatever we're doing. But you actually put it into your memory bank when you're asleep. So sleep is a huge part of this. And a lot of older people, again, especially think about it, if they're sitting around and they're dozing on and off all day watching
they're not
I don't know what on TV,
then
they don't sleep well at night. Now, when we're talking about sleeping, we're talking about circadian rhythm sleeping. Sleeping
or you drink a little glass of wine before you go to bed and you don't realize how much that's messing up your sleep.
Your sleep quality. With
or
alcohol.
Food, eating really late at night.
Yeah, again, you don't want to eat within a couple hours of bedtime, ideally, and you definitely don't want alcohol for ideal sleep. Nothing disrupts the sleep like alcohol. So using the brain would be number one. Feeding the brain is number two, and we can do that with the multi, the mag.
What are some other supplements for brain health?
Yeah, when people come in and specifically say, hey, I want to make sure I'm protecting my brain.
Would you say CoQ10?
CoQ10 is huge because it's an energy producer, right? And the brain needs more energy than any other part of the body.
Okay.
Acetyl L-carnitine is a product that we use a lot of.
Acetyl L-carnitine.
And the acetyl L-carnitine, because the acetyl group that we add to carnitine, and we've talked about carnitine before for fat burning. But acetyl L-carnitine will not only help the body burn fat, but the acetyl group helps push it across the blood-brain barrier. So now we're giving the brain, we're giving the
nutrition.
Brain energy.
Yeah.
So CoQ10, carnitine, we have a product called nitric oxide, and that increases blood flow to the brain. Kangen water greatly increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain. Kangen water in the studies is shown to increase the dissolved oxygen in our blood 64.9%. So when you think about that, it's a smaller water molecule. It increases the brain fluid, the hydration to the brain very quickly. And so all these factors can go in, and then we take the ability to think of some of the more newer things. Okay. So we have a peptide bioregulator that Dr. Kavinson from Russia created called Sirlutin, which is to help the body rebuild brain cells.
Oh, Sirlutin.
So, yeah. Another thing that we can do for our brain is good quality fats, especially saturated fat.
MCT oil, grass-fed butter.
Absolutely. The way that beef tallow, pork lard, the way that we build new brain cells every day, and we lose brain cells every day, every minute, every second, we're losing and making new cells. Saturated fat, LDL cholesterol is the way we do that. And that's why when you look at the research, especially
our brains need cholesterol.
Dwayne Graveline's research that statin drugs can lead to more memory issues, Alzheimer's, and those type of things.
I think that's one that people don't realize, and that's another reason not to take statins.
Yeah, well, you have to know that blocking the cholesterol, especially the LDL, blocks the brain's ability to make new cells and to function.
We've been led to believe that all cholesterol is bad, and it's not bad.
No, it's not. And we did a whole podcast about how the Framingham study shows this, and so they can go back and listen to that. But the other things that are really, really important for the brain are the hormones.
I was getting ready to say.
Optimal hormone
So
levels.
what about us younger people, not us younger people who are already saying things like, I just walked into the other room and now I can't remember what I came in here for.
Yeah.
Or I'm starting to get brain fog and I just can't, nothing's clicking anymore. And I remember for me when I started going through menopause, that was one of the first symptoms.
Absolutely. So the first thing is, Janet, to make sure they're using the foundational four. So we're covering the basics, right?
And he's talking magnesium, digestive enzymes, and probiotics.
Yeah, to make sure they're using that foundational optimal
Throw in some CoQ10.
And vitamin D would be great to throw in there.
Super K.
Making sure they're drinking plenty of water. Right?
Not eating a lot of sugar, low insulin.
Yeah, we're trying to always control the insulin. But then these folks, especially these ladies, like you'd say, as their hormones begin to change, estradiol is very important for the brain function. Okay, and we've known that for a long time.
And estradiol is just the form of estrogen that we take as hormone replacement.
That's the form that you should be using as hormone replacement. But now, again,
people aren't.
Compounded, micronized, bioidentical estradiol, not China-made. Yeah, not the patch and not China-made estradiol tablets. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about really high quality, exactly equivalent to what your body makes, okay? And men make estradiol too, but women at higher levels. So estradiol is extremely important for the brain function. Progesterone is another compounded, micronized, bioidentical hormone, is extremely important for the brain. And progesterone is actually what protects the myelin sheath. And the myelin sheath is the coating
on the nerves
that protects the nerves. And the brain is made up of, obviously, lots of these nerves.
It's
right?
like a wire that has the coating around it.
Correct.
That's what we think of the myelin
If you
sheath.
strip it, it doesn't work well. And if you touch it, it can shock you and it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So this progesterone protecting the myelin sheath is critical for the brain and all the nerves of the body to continue to work efficiently. So when you talked about as your hormones start to change, especially as a woman, the two that will first seem to go are estradiol and progesterone. And then we get to the next really important hormone, testosterone for the brain, because testosterone actually has a lot of functions in the brain that we never refer to or think about, but it increases dopamine. And so it's your feel-good hormone, as is progesterone, as is estradiol. But testosterone helps the brain have more energy. Testosterone helps the brain produce more dopamine, which is why we feel good and feel like we are.
Yeah.
You know, the 3 V's we talk about, vim, vigor, and vitality, that comes from testosterone. Yeah.
And even women need testosterone. A lot of women don't realize
absolutely
that their testosterone completely tanks also during menopause.
Well, and if they are on or have been on birth control pills ever, they have tanked their testosterone as a result of the birth control pills. So, yeah, there's lots of reasons. I mean, age is one of them. Some of the drugs that people are using. By the way,
pharmaceutical drugs.
This is very critical in talking about testosterone and women especially. because unfortunately 1 in 4 women today in America are on an antidepressant drug. And antidepressant drugs drive down testosterone levels. Anti-anxiety drugs, so alprazolam or Xanax, Klonopin or clonazepam, Valium or diazepam. I'm probably missing some more. Ativan or lorazepam. All those class of drugs lower testosterone. Pain pills, hydrocodone, oxycodone, lower testosterone. Adderall or the amphetamines, Concerta, Ritalin, they lower testosterone. So we get, and so many people are using these drugs. One of the big things to lower testosterone is alcohol. Another wine every night, right, will lower testosterone. Beer will lower testosterone. Liquor will lower testosterone.
A hangover and not working out will lower testosterone.
And two, something unfortunately that so many people are doing today, especially young people, is marijuana.
And that will lower your testosterone.
Absolutely. So you think about it.
Especially if you're trying to get pregnant.
Absolutely. So you have all these people who are on antidepressants, anti-anxiety pills, ADD or ADHD pills. They're on pain pills. They're using alcohol or marijuana to help them relax or sleep. I mean, it's no wonder that their hormone levels are tanked, right? Because all these things affect especially testosterone levels. And so, not only is things like alcohol and marijuana just destroy your sleep and your brain over time, but you add all that into all the other things that we're up against. Like you talked about the screens and the blue lights and the phones and the iPads and the Kindles and the televisions and I don't know, it's everywhere. So we're stimulating the brains in ways that it was never meant to be stimulated. And then we don't get out in the sun and we don't get out in the light and we don't get out in nature and we don't take time to do yoga and relax and turn the mind chatter off. So another thing, Janet, it just triggered me when you said mind chatter and then I was talking about it there. L-theanine.
L-theanine helps you
Our
sleep.
L-theanine product can really help turn that mind chatter off. Okay. So people who...
You can take it during the day as well.
Oh, absolutely. I take 2 capsules 4 times a day, every day. But one of the big things that it does is it helps turn the mind chatter off, especially in the evening, so that you're not laying in the bed thinking of 100 things you need to do the next day, but you can actually try to sleep. L-theanine, amazing for increasing alpha brain waves during the day, so great for children with ADD or ADHD or adults with ADD.
And they can do L-theanine just as a drop.
We have a drop and a capsule. Yes.
Okay. That would be easy for a kid, I think, to do the drop.
Yes.
I want to before we get too far away from it, when we talked about the hormones, you talked about how to take estradiol and progesterone, but circling back to testosterone, for people that are listening, you need to know we've got lots of podcasts on testosterone, on hormone replacement therapy. But when you're talking about the brain and brain health, what form of testosterone, and is it different for men and women?
Well, the most effective form of testosterone for men and women is a compounded micronized bioidentical cream. Okay. That is going to be the best way to keep the levels steady and the best way to get the maximum benefit of the testosterone. Now, there are testosterone troches that we make. There are testosterone injections. But all the research and all the experience shows that the creams are the way to maximize everything for both men and women. Not only their levels, but the benefits and keeping the levels steady.
Yeah.
Now, what is, and we've talked about this a lot, the least preferred method for any hormone, especially testosterone, is pellets. It's really tragic what I see with this. I just met with
I had to learn the hard way.
I just met with a dentist's wife who had pellets, and it's a disaster, y'all. And I mean, you like you said, a lot of people unfortunately learn the hard way.
Yeah, you can get an infection, or you can get too much of the hormone, or
you can't adjust it. I mean, not for 3 months.
Or you can go give blood every week to try to get some of that out of your body. I mean, it's crazy what happens.
So, the beauty of the way we do it, we can adjust it if needed very easily each and every day. It's literally, some people go, well, I don't want to put on a cream. And I'm like, it's literally 10 seconds. It's literally 10 seconds.
I didn't want to do that either, and it's easy. It's very
It
easy.
is so easy. I mean, it is literally 10 seconds and you're finished. I mean, if you don't have 10 seconds to put testosterone cream on, then you're not a good CEO. Because look, when people go on testosterone and progesterone and estradiol and DHEA, especially if we can get that symphony going, and they're doing the supplements, they'll tell you it absolutely changes their life.
And their brains change it.
It changes their brains. It changes their...
More positive.
Yeah. I mean, everything, vim, vigor, and vitality, period. It turns them back into, they go, God, I can make decisions again. I can remember again. I want to have sex again. I want, whatever. I mean, it brings back that vitality of being younger.
Yeah, and if you don't like to exercise, suddenly you have this extra energy and you're...
Well, not only that, but you're just more efficient. You're more efficient at burning sugar and fat. You're more efficient with insulin. You're more efficient with everything. So, you're more efficient at building muscle. So it brings back, I'll say, youth. It brings back that youth feeling. And there's really, Janet, and we've talked about this over and over and over because there's so much controversy. Hormones can cause heart attacks. Hormones can cause this. Hormones can cause that. Prostate cancer, breast cancer. Janet, it is not true when we're talking about compounded, bioidentical, micronized hormones.
They're basing it off of old, flawed studies.
It's the opposite. Mm-hmm. It's the absolute opposite. As Dr. Rosier says it, when every marker of health improves when you're on these hormones, how can it be bad? Yeah. When your cholesterol's better, when your thyroid's better, when your progesterone level's better, your estradiol's better, your blood pressure's better, your insulin's better, your sugar's better, your A1C's better. I mean, how is that bad? And your muscle's better, your fat's better.
Everything gets better. And there we go back to the brain, and then your brain is doing better. Yeah. And I wanted to, now we're getting the signal that we're getting towards the end of the podcast. So I want to ask you, what are some of the common pharmaceuticals that people take, or are there pharmaceuticals for things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and do you think they work? And
there are pharmaceuticals for it.
And are they depleting your body of other things you might need?
Yeah, all drugs have drug nutrient depletions, without a doubt. And the thing is, the drug companies will tell, even in their own research, these drugs do not bring back any memory whatsoever. Okay. They try to stop the loss. Okay. So none of them are effective at making it any better. It's just trying to slow the progression of the disease. And yeah, they do have a lot of side effects, and they do have drug nutrient depletions. I had much rather take care of my brain and exercise it, right? We'll call it exercise it, so that I don't get to that point. And then I want to do preventative things, like I take acetyl L-carnitine every day. I take CoQ10 every day. I take the Foundational 4. I take vitamin D with Super K. Take a lot of stuff to help my brain work better. I take the peptide bioregulator 10 days a month, every month for the brain. There are peptides, not peptide bioregulators, but more traditional peptides.
Small chain amino acids.
Small chain amino acids that are amazing for the brain. Now, again, they're not right now FDA approved, or they're category 2, not safe for human use.
Things are changing.
They could definitely change, absolutely, and hope they do for the better, but we can definitely help people get them. And I'm telling you, some of these hormones, peptides for the brain, people know immediately. Wow. People who have had...
Like within days?
Oh, yeah, within days. I help people with get these hormones through research companies only. And I mean, for traumatic brain injury, for stroke recovery, for memory recall, for all these things are amazing, Janet, and they're just amino acid chains. So there's no side effects. There's cost, but there's no side effects. And there's studies, Janet, by the way, I should have pointed out, for these things on, now they're not enough human studies to satisfy the FDA, but there are studies on these things for stroke recovery, traumatic brain injuries, Alzheimer's prevention, Parkinson's, brain-related diseases. But decades ago, if not more, progesterone was shown to help with traumatic brain injury, with memory, with
Myelin sheath.
Myelin sheath repair with MS.
And that would be MS,
stuff.
things
Yeah.
like that.
So there are actually studies showing where they will give like mega doses of injectable progesterone after brain injuries, and they see much better recovery rates. So like a stroke, right?
Yeah.
So some of these peptides and peptide bioregulators and things that are newer. Now, the peptide bioregulator, we can get you all day long. That's considered over the counter. It's a capsule. You take 2 a day for 10 days each month, or 2 a day for 10 days.
And you've got them for almost every organ in the body.
Correct. And then there are true what's called peptides. So they're longer than the peptide bioregulator amino acid chains. There's lots of things we can do, but I like to live the Opti lifestyle, and I should greatly reduce the risk of ever having Alzheimer's or ever having one of these memory related diseases.
And it brings me back to another reason to take your class. And if you don't get in this year, sign up for next year. It only takes a small group of people, and it's a 2-day course, and you'll learn so much about brain health and how to keep your brain going for years and years.
Over the course of the weekend, we talk about everything from diabetes to heart disease to hormones to cancer to mind to all these things, but it all is related to your overall brain health. Right. All these things that help you with the other chronic diseases of life will help your brain work much better. So get out and do something, get out and walk, get out and see the sun, do a crossword puzzle, play
pickleball,
play some kind of sport, do something with a kid or a grandkid. Yeah. Do yoga, do something to stimulate your brain to have to work every day.
Right on. I'm going to do it.
Yep. Awesome.
I'm not going to play pickleball, but I'm going to go get a Sudoku.
Yeah. Got to protect our brain. Yeah. Look, I've seen it. I don't do it, but I know it's around. I'm having to think too much. I don't have time for that.
Well, thank you for, talking to us about our brain health.
Awesome. See you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.